Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Kaylee and I like to read books and collect cute things. We are here talking about September new releases. You better believe that in September I'm going to be doing a new release reading vlog because there are so many coming out. This September, you guys, is probably the best month for me in terms of new release books. It's a lot of books that we're getting into spooky season. We're getting into the books that I've been highly anticipating all year. These books are from some of my favorite authors ever. They are follow-ups to series. They are new authors and new stories that I cannot wait to explore. So we're gonna go ahead and get into it. I'm going to organize this by publication date. So we're gonna go through each book. I'm not gonna give a completely crazy long synopsis because there are far too many books to do that without this video being an hour long. But I wanted for you guys to know the best books coming out soon in the month of September for 2026, because there are some absolute bangers coming out that I'm gonna have to put my physical TBR on hold to read. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in. We're starting with publication date September 1st, and believe me, there are a bunch of Tuesdays in September, so lots of good books coming out. So September 1st. So the first book we're going to talk about is An Immaculate Deception. This is by Isabella Lavino. So this book is a debut gothic horror. It's set in 1870s Brazil, and it's a young pregnant woman finds herself unable to escape her lover's isolated family home, and a family's deal with the devil goes terribly wrong, as we would all expect it to. Now, I love gothic horror books set in Mexico or Latin America or South America, okay? Any Latin horror book I gravitate towards. So this is speaking to me. It's giving Isabel Cañas, it's giving The Hacienda, it's giving Vampires of El Norte, like the cover. So I am so pumped to get this one. I'm hoping that it gives me all of the Isabel Cañas vibes that I know and love. I don't think I've read a book that was a gothic horror set in Brazil. So a lot of the ones that I have read are based in Mexico. So I'm interested to see from this author. And yeah, so then the next one that we have coming out, Mother Sucker by Kim Boyun. And this book is translated. This book is, it's short. It's about 200 pages. And it's basically a good for her, okay? A woman rage book. We love women's rage, women's oppression represented horrifically and with mediums in horror. So the manifestation of women's rage in vampires, werewolves, serial killers, I don't know. I love that shit. So good for her. Just kidding. But you know, this is a chilling international debut following a vampire who targets men who have harmed women. And, so Monica Kim, one of my favorite authors, author of Molka and Eyes of the Best Part, she blurbed it and said, a haunting portrait of grief and pain and the lengths a mother will go to protect her child. Oh, okay, so it's in, okay, I'm sorry. I think it's translated from Korean because it is set in Seoul. So we have 4 more books releasing on the 1st of September that look like absolute bangers. Then we have The Disappearers, and this is by Marlon James. So this book is longlisted for the 2026 Booker Prize, and it sounds heartbreaking and like it's something that I think a lot of people are going to resonate with, a important story that just needs to be told. And this book is set place in 1988. 8 men in Kingston, Jamaica begin rehearsals for a play. They're all strangers to one another. They share an inescapable truth. All of them are gay, and they live in a world that refuses to accept them. So one night, the men are savagely beat and one is killed. As their bodies heal, the survivors begin to face the hatred and contempt that the violence laid bare. Some of them tried to ignore what had happened and work through, I guess, their grief and just pretend like whatever. And others are doubling down on retribution, and some of them disappear completely. So it is a propulsive crime story that is also deeply human account of the connection and acceptance. So it is says is a both thrilling page turner and a finely etched portrait of queer life. Oh my God, I want to cry reading it. This is going to be an important book for all of us collectively. And then we have The Knave and the Moon, releasing by Rachel Gillig, also on the 1st. So this book is the second in the duology of The Knight and the Moth. Have I read The Knight and the Moth? No. But that is because I like to read duologies close together, because from what I've realized, and this is just a me thing, I will sometimes forget what happens. And with the duology, like sometimes it leaves off on a cliffhanger and then I forget and have to reread it anyway. So once this book releases, I do want to read The Knight and the Moth and then immediately jump into this book if I do like it. So this one is, I loved One Dark Window, so I'm assuming I'm gonna really like this one. I don't know too much about what this is about because of course it is the sequel. Okay, and then also on the 1st, this is a historical fiction book, and this is The Library of Forbidden Books, a sweeping historical fiction novel about a librarian protecting banned books in Nazi Germany. So there is so much right now about book banning and censorship and all these things that I think that we all need to collectively understand the importance of it and the historical ramifications and the similarities and parallels of Nazi Germany and today's regime. But yeah, so it's set in place in Berlin, 1933, and that is the vibrant cultural heart of Germany, but it is darkening under the shadow of the Nazi regime. So there's a first female librarian at a prestigious German library, and the books that she knows and loves and cherishes, they are becoming targets. The government begins its systemic purge of literature, compiling lists of forbidden works. What does that remind you of? And orchestrating public book burnings. So she is determined to resist, education and literature and the importance of history are really like public enemy number one for these jerks that we have right now in office, and we need to be able to understand the importance of preserving them. Okay, and then the last book that I'm going to discuss that is releasing on the 1st is The Birthing Tree by Amanda Peters. She is the author of The Berry Pickers. That was a historical fiction book that I read earlier this year and absolutely loved. So this book is taking place in Nova Scotia, and it's about a woman who must confront her family's varied truths and memories of a passionate young love when her grandmother's death leaves her as the only guide to her community's future. So it says it's a sweeping yet intimate novel following one woman's journey to protect the land, traditions, and the memory of the woman who came before her. So I think that this sounds so heartfelt, and I really enjoyed the writing of The Berry Pickers. It was definitely not something I expected. The mystery, the sibling dynamics, the grieving of a relationship, trying to figure out who you are, the complex family dynamics, all of it was so great. And learning about the Indigenous people in that area, in the area of Maine, was very eye-opening and something I enjoyed learning about. So yeah, I'm very impressed by this author already, and I will definitely be picking this one up. Okay, the next publication date within September is the 8th, and we have The Big Bad Wolf. That is by Lori Gilmore, and Lori Gilmore is the author of The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. That series completely took over the fall time 2 years ago. And I read the first book in that series and thought it was cute, whatever. And then I read the second one, absolutely hated it, and never picked up the other ones again. Now, this one is more of a paranormal romance vibe, and it's set in now the Maple Hollow city. So this might not be one that I'm gonna get like on publication date, but like I definitely want to see if this one might be for me. But I think the cover is really super cute, and it's like a play on Little Red Riding Hood. So I'm wondering if they're all gonna be different like like grim fairy tales, or if it's going to be like a continuation of of the Little Red Riding Hood or something like that. So I don't know. Yeah, we'll see how that one goes. That one's, again, it's going to be more of like cozy and atmospheric, small town romance, paranormal magic. So we'll see. And then we have Pictures of You by Josh Mallerman. So I have read one book by Josh Mallerman, and I liked it. So I want to read more by this author. This isn't very long either. It's only 288 pages, but this one sounds super intriguing. So this is a horror book, but it's a woman becomes the unknowing suspect of an artist's dangerous work in the house. In this intense Hitchcockian thriller from the New York Times bestselling author of Incidents Around the House. So it's something about like, I want to say it's about this woman who becomes like the muse for this like person that's stalking her. It's something like that. Okay, this is what it was. So this woman wakes up, I think, and there's like a picture at the end of her bed, and a frame with no canvas, no painting, no art. Only there is a silhouette of a person Emily does not recognize. It seems really weird. But yeah, so we have that one. And then we have one of my most anticipated books of the whole year, Kiss, Slay, Repeat, a replay by Miss Rachel Harrison. I love Rachel Harrison, as you can see. Wait, can you see actually? No, you can't. Actually, right here. Yeah. See? Right there. Right there. Right here. I love Rachel Harrison. She is a horror writer. All of her women that she writes about in these books, I feel so seen. I don't know, like, but she does, like, again, the manifestation of women's rage and feminist commentary manifested into mythological creatures, like, or cryptids or something. So anyway, she is just so good. All of her books are so different. This was a little bit different in the fact that it is kind of like a Groundhog Day, or like a time loop Groundhog Day type of situation, I think. It's about a woman who wakes up and it's the morning of her wedding, and there is a masked serial killer killing all of her wedding guests. So anyway, I'm getting married this year, so I think it would be really fun to read that maybe on the plane on the way to my wedding. So I don't think I'm going to read it on publication day, but I definitely want to buy it probably on publication day, but I may not read it until end of October. Okay, and then we have The Pirate Queen, and this is by Ariel Lawhon. She wrote The Frozen River, which I read I think 2 years ago and loved that book. One of the best strong-willed female female main characters I've ever read. She's just amazing. But so The Pirate Queen is a historical adventure inspired by the life of Grace O'Malley, the legendary Irish folk heroine who risked everything to defend her people. So again, we have another very strong female main character, heroine. Yeah, so she is married off against her will to a brutal warrior, and she is betrayed. 16th century Ireland. So I am so excited to read this one too. Honestly, I'm probably going to say by every single one, I'm so excited, but I genuinely am, because a lot of these authors are authors I've given a 4 or 5 star book. Another one, we have a Type Bay Story, and this is by R.F. Kuang, who I loved Babel, I loved Yellowface. I have not read Calabasas, but I have it. I will say her writing is it's so good, but she's still so intimidating to me because she's just like a lyrical genius, and I'm like, am I gonna get it? Like I kind of like psych myself up like I'm not going to or something. But this one is actually kind of different because this one's only 288 pages. Like Calabasas, Babel, those are longer books. So I don't really know what this one's about, to be honest with you. But it says it's a coming of age novel that grapples with grief, language, and culture shock. So a lot of her books have a lot to do with language, academics, things like that. But it is against the backdrop of an unforgettable summer in Taipei. So there's a college freshman named Lily Chen, and she is off to spend the summer in Taipei in a very intensive language program, like so many Chinese American students before her, hoping to connect with a culture she inherited but never fully understood. This book, the cover is absolutely gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. Yeah, so there's that one. And then we have The Witches of Cambridge by Alice Hoffman. Alice Hoffman, of course, is the author of the Practical Magic series. But this one is this one takes place in Cambridge, Mass. in the 1950s. This one is talking a lot about like the McCarthyism era. There are secret societies where, again, during that period in history, people were very paranoid of their neighbors, thinking that they were communists and all these things. So if someone's in a secret society that has nothing to do with communism, I'm sure they're going to be like, hey, what's going on here? Because everyone, again, is just on hyper alert and being paranoid, crazy people. So we have this book, about a group of women, a mysterious secret group of witches at Radcliffe known as the Lilith Society. And then, now, so this book, technically the traditionally published book is releasing on the 8th, but this is not really a brand new book, okay? You can actually read this on KU right now, and I want to say there was probably like an indie publication of this book, but that is The Exorcism of Fairies by J.L. Vampa. This cover is everything. I am obsessed with it, you guys. But this one was a dark academia, dark romantasy book that I've been told that for lovers of Nocticadia, that this would be something really good. So it is said, perfect for fans of the Ninth House and Academy for Liars. But it is a graduate student studying botany in Dublin who falls for her professor of morbid anatomy as they are drawn into a deadly plague threatening their world. Oh my god, so that sounds just like Nocticadia. Okay, I'm so excited. This will be a book that I will probably read on publication day. I actually might read it sooner rather than later on my Kindle and then just like buy the physical copy because I'm obsessed with the cover. That is my toxic trait. Okay, guys, we have 6 books to get through for the publication date for the 15th of September. Again, I'm trying to fly through them, but there's so many good ones to talk about. So the first one is a nonfiction book that's releasing called Live, Laugh, Love. This is the secret history of white Christian women and the world they made. So I read Jesus and John Wayne last year. It was a very eye-opening book for me. I was raised in the South. I was raised in a Baptist church and then a non-denominational church, mega church, if you will. And I'm not saying that that is a bad thing to go to church and be a Christian. It's not at all, okay? What I'm saying is that there has been a lot of weaponization of that religion and philosophy. And this current regime that we are in has been cooking for a long time. Like, this is nothing new. And in fact, that book breaks down the representation that has been with Christian nationalism in media and cultural icons, like, and how the evolution of now what we look like this is what they wanted, and this has been in the works for a long time. It also talks about, it combats the argument that, you know, we are a Christian nation and all these other things. So as someone, again, who was raised and indoctrinated in this world, and I've had to A, unlearn a lot of things, and B, I've had to, you know, kind of understand religious trauma and work through that. That was very, very eye-opening for me, and it was very validating. And then, totally different type of book. We have a fantasy romance. So I have not read anything by Ava Reed before, but this book is called Winter Veil, and you know, I am definitely into fantasy romance books here recently. I'm also very into dark academia, dark gothic romance. So this like cover really spoke to me. I love like the angels and the gargoyles and those types of like gothic-y type of covers. So anyway, this is a duology, and I guess it's the first. So it's a disgraced politician from a powerful American dynasty, and I don't really know much else about it. And then we have Follow. Okay, this is by Sarah Anderson. So this is a literary fiction story. This, for some reason to me, you guys, is giving me yesteryear vibes. But it is slyly funny and disarmingly tender. Follow is the story of a young woman who signs up to be the world's first in-house corporate surrogate and then finds herself caught up in a social experiment of another kind. So I'm assuming in this dystopian world, like a company can say, okay, like instead of having like a company, like all right, we have a gym in the building. You can go work out on your lunch break or whatever. This is a perk. It seems like it's literary fiction. Seems like it's a little bit going to be sci-fi. I don't know, but it looks like it would be one of those books that's going to be very talked about, very buzzy. And yeah, so I love how the cover is a cow. It's some, you know, she is a human cattle. But yeah, I think that's good. I think it's going to be a very interesting book, and I don't know what to make of it. Okay, and then we have Grim Tidings by B.K. Borison. You guys, I have been so excited to read this book. So excited. B.K. Borison is the author of Good Spirits. I read that book last year and absolutely loved it. This book takes place in that world, and it is talking about the Grim Reaper. And there is a love story, and yeah, I'm excited to be back in this little world again. And then we have Exit Party by Emily St. John Mandel. She's a very popular author. I've never read anything by this author before. She writes a lot of dystopian sci-fi type of books, like Station 11. And again, I've never read anything by this author, but I really want to. And I feel like this might be a good segue for me to read from this author. It takes place in LA 2031. So there is a collapse. After the collapse of the United States, peacekeeping troops withdraw from the city. Then we have The Thoroughbreds by Ellen Hildebrand and her daughter Shelby Cunningham. This is the second book in the Academy series. I have the first book. I heard though that the first book leaves off on a cliffhanger, so I decided to pick this up before this one comes out. That way I won't be too stumped. This one takes place at Tiffin Academy, and I've heard it's a little cringy, things like that. I don't know. And to be honest with you, I wasn't even going to buy this book. I was just going to try to get it from the library, but while I was in Nantucket, I found a signed edition of it, yada yada, so I was like, whatever. So I bought it. I am nothing but a consumer, you guys. So so if I like the first book, then I will be picking up this one. But just to let y'all know, it is coming out. But I don't know much about it because I haven't read the first one yet. Okay, guys, now there's only 3 books coming out on the 22nd that I'm pretty interested in, but they're still bangers, okay? So, one of my most anticipated books of the year, Maisie Wood, is coming out by Tana Marie Du, who, if you don't know, she wrote The Reformatory, which is definitely one of my favorite books, like, that I read a few years ago. I was so impressed. I have The Good House by her that I still have not read. This one is being described as All the Sinners Bleed meet Eraser and the literary thriller from author of The Reformatory. So it's following the grandson of a famous Black actress who returns to his grandmother's cabin retreat in the California mountains only to encounter the legacy of her rage born in old Hollywood. So it's definitely going to have that old Hollywood vibe. It's definitely going to be rage. It's going to have social commentary. I remember when I read The Reformatory, it was absolutely horrific what happened to these boys. it was a part of history that not enough people know about and talk about. And I was, oh my God. And I read a lot of horror books, and I was absolutely disgusted by the treatment of these boys. It had definitely a speculative part of it. There was like haints and ghosts and things like that, and the manifestation of retribution and revenge and everything like that. And oh my gosh, it was just such an incredible book. So if that's anything like this, I'm sad. But I am very interested how it said All the Sinners Bleed, because All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby is definitely a really great book. He writes a lot of crime thrillers. So I'm wondering how that aligns with this book. I'm wondering if it is more of just like a revenge type of story. I'm not sure, but I'm very interested to see. I love things about like old Hollywood. So anyways, so we have that book coming out again on the 22nd. And then we have another one of my most anticipated books of the year, Hollow Bones by Jodi Picoult. Jodi Picoult is one of those authors that I want to read everything she's ever written. So Hollow Bones is her newest release, and it is coming out this year because it is the 25th anniversary of the September 11th attacks. And it is, I think, going from past and present to that day on September 11th. So, yeah, it's about the risk we take to protect the ones we love in a world where crisis is always just around the corner. But yeah, so I love Jodi Picoult. I love everything about her, and I cannot wait to read this book. And then, so this one's kind of different. This is by Adeline Grace. She is the author of the Belladonna series, which I also haven't read, but I have the Belladonna book, and I do plan on reading that this year. So this one is, so the Belladonna books, I believe, were YA, and this one I want to say is an adult debut. But it is very interesting because it's about an ancient war between angels and demons and a human knight determined to end it at any cost. So it sounds more fantasy driven, but the Belladonna series, from what I know, is a gothic YA series. This like supernatural warfare going on. I don't know. All of it sounds right up my alley, and I'm really interested to read books by this author. I don't know if it's going to be a series. I'm assuming it's going to be a series, but yeah, so that's The Wretched Divine. Okay, guys, and now on to the 29th of September. I cannot believe we have 5 publication dates in September, but okay, finally at the end here. So we have, the first one I'm going to talk about is Something Followed Us Home. So I don't read a lot of short story collections, but this one really spoke to me. This is Tales of Latin Horror, and it's, just very exciting voices from the Latin horror community that are coming together to write short story. So this one is edited by Bram Stoker Award winner Cynthia Pelayo. And each story reimagines immigration, colonization, faith, and folklore as the fears we inherit and carry across borders and generations. Again, I don't read a lot of anthologies or short story collections, but this one is really just speaking to me. Also, can we just say the cover of this one is haunting and beautiful, and I love everything about it. So we have that one, and then we have The House of Gardenias. You guys. First of all, can we just also say about this cover, gorge, love it. Love the gardenia flowers, I love the smell. So this cover already was speaking to me. Isabel Cañas, which is an author that I talked about earlier in the video. She has written a lot of adult horror, like gothic horror books with like some romance vibes in there. Definitely romance is like a subplot, but this is her YA debut, so I'm very excited to read this by her. Despite near constant political violence in the city and an abusive father at home, Minerva Trevino's cowardice has kept her alive for 16 years. Even she has a limit. Unable to take another beating or miss another meal, Minerva musters enough courage to flee to a neighborhood full of rich people loyal to the disposed fascist viceroy. I don't know, and take a job as a lady's maid to a wealthy widow. The ancient estate is home to forces far older and far more bloodthirsty than anything she could have imagined. I loved The Hacienda by this author, and I absolutely loved Vampires of El Norte. So this one's giving me kind of like a mix of Vampires of El Norte and Hacienda. So I'm interested to see how the YAW, this book, stacks up to those. But yeah, beautiful cover. And then we have, we have American Hagwon by Miss Min Jin Lee. Oh my gosh, you guys. I've already talked ad nauseum about Pachinko. It's like my favorite book that I've probably read this year. And it's definitely on my favorite book like that I read ever. But I absolutely love that book, and I've been excited for this one to come out. No pressure or anything to this book, but this one is another contemporary epic. It says, in schools and churches, hotels and hotel rooms and nail salons, law firms and fried fish shops, in cramped dingy apartments and luxury gated communities, the men, women, and children in American Hagwon struggle to find satisfaction and meaning in a world that seems to grow less forgiving to each passing year. Once comfortably middle class in Korea, John and Helen Ko and their 3 children find their lives upended, first by a shocking betrayal by John's oldest friend, and then by the 1997 Asian financial crisis. So they leave Seoul for Sydney and then eventually settle in Southern California. So yeah, but I'm excited to read more by this author because I love Pachinko so much. And then we have The True Confessions of First Lady Freeman. This one was interesting to me, you guys. I don't know anything about it. I haven't heard any buzz, but because I saw this on Goodreads and I looked at the description, I was like, this sounds so good. But this is a sharp satirical drama of megachurch scandal, shame, and fame and freedom. And kind of told y'all earlier, like, working through religious trauma, sometimes the satirical side of it is really, I don't know, refreshing. Wife of a popular and powerful megachurch pastor appends her charmed rags to Rolex life when her secret past comes roaring into the spotlight. It's funny and juicy and sexy and delicious peek behind the pulpit. So, and the last book we're going to talk about is The Ship of Death, and this one sounds really interesting. It is a found footage kind of horror-y book, right? And it's cosmically creepy as hell, nightmarish experience. It says House of Leaves meets Jumanji, an original and twisted novel composed entirely of found documents following an unwitting couples ensnared by a sinister tabletop role-playing game. I don't really know what that's all about, but it looks really creepy and weird and fun, and I love the cover. So yeah, I am excited to see what that even means with the Jumanji aspect, and yeah, seems like a good time. But again, thank you so much, guys, for being here today with me. There was a lot of books to go over, and if I had nothing else to do in the month of September, I think like reading a brand new book every single day would be freaking awesome, but I have simply no time to do that. But there are just so many good books coming out in September. I could not make a video about it. Let me know in the comments if I missed any, and also let me know if you plan on reading any of these books and what your thoughts are. But thank you so much again. This video is probably going to be really long, but there was just so much to get through. Thank you guys again so much for taking the time to chat with me today about the books. And if you are still here at the end of the video, please give me a big thumbs up. And if you can hit like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time. And remember to take care of yourself. Bye.